Have you ever heard of the Villisca axe murders?
No.
So in Villisca, Iowa, there was this serial killer that came in, apparently, and small little town, a couple thousand people or whatever, little house, and somehow this guy was able to come into the house, kill 2 parents and 6 kids all in one house with an axe.
A tiny house.
Without getting caught at all. And to this day, it's an unsolved murder.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And it's just so bizarre. And that was one of the places that, like, yeah.
That's
Oh, my
That's
God.
it. Yeah, we went
super-
Oh, my God. Look at the fucking sign in front of it. Jesus Christ. They got Villisca axe murder house, and it's dripping blood. If you were a neighbor, you'd be like, hey, bro, maybe take that fucking
change
sign down.
Yeah, exactly. A little
Imagine.
insensitive for sure.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. So that was in 1912.
That's
yeah.
when that all happened, yeah.
So over 100 years. But that was like one of those things that we'd researched, and that was like interesting. But as soon as we stepped foot in that house, it was a whole different vibe.
Yeah.
It was one of those things that like it was one of the few times we actually had to leave. So halfway, like after doing a little tour with the whole like with the tour guide, he was telling us all these stories, and just like being in there was weird. Like our buddy was like feeling like he's gonna throw up, and it was just like really odd. Like that doesn't happen every time, but when it does, it's kind of like, and it might be because of how fucked up it was.
Right.
There was a lot of things that went down in this
Well,
murder.
it's also you know about it, right? It would have been interesting if someone brought you into the house without telling you anything. Like, how do you feel in this place? And then see how you feel then.
Right. Is it like a placebo effect maybe that because you know the story, you're
could
walking
be.
in there?
I mean, that's a crazy placebo, right? Like
Oh,
just
yeah.
to know that a whole family's murdered with a fucking axe.
Right. And the most gruesome part about it is the killer used the blunt side of the axe. So you can still, because we went there to investigate, you can still see like the axe markings in the ceiling when he was going back
Oh God.
to go down. And again, it's so weird because there was like, on the top floor, there was like the parents' room, but then right like 5 steps down a wooden creaky hallway was the children's room where there was 4 of them. And then there was 2 more of like their daughter's friends that they were hanging out with that were downstairs that got murdered as well.
So how is it possible that he was able to get to all of them with the blunt side and just
And like did he break in or was he hiding like in the attic? Like we don't know.
really creepy.
Yeah. I think
So that was the one that got you the most?
yeah.
Like
and
that
Conjuring.
like that like true crime world is like really messed up, because like again like the stories you hear too and the allegations of these people is like, oh God, because for that particular ex murder, the little girls downstairs apparently were the last ones getting killed, and because of that, the killer was apparently reported that he like would, this is like really disturbing,
Trigger
like
warning.
yeah, like would like unclothe the little girls, and he sat there and he pleasured himself in front of these like dead
With like a
people.
big like slab of bacon.
It was like those types of gruesome
With a
stories.
big slab of bacon,
A big slab
too?
of bacon. He like sexually pleasured himself to
Oh,
these like dead
God.
bodies.
It's,
Yeah,
like,
of
so
like girls under like 10 too, I think, or 15, something like that.
And it never happened again? And then they never found the guy? Did they have suspects?
So they do have suspects, and what's really interesting is the 2 main suspects that a lot of people talk about were not the ones that we ended up talking about in our video, just because right before doing a research on this location, we saw this this author that just came out with a book about a serial killer, and she thinks she solved the Villisca axe murders because that same exact style of murder was actually this the serial killer that went from Midwest town to Midwest town on a train, and it's called The Man from the Train. And the same exact thing. So like things like covering the mirrors after like the death, and like the back of an axe, the fact that he was left-handed, which
he would eat meals like afterwards, like he'd like make himself a meal and sit with all the dead bodies and eat. Yeah, cover up every like window because he was like ashamed that if he saw his reflection or something like that. And every single spot that this traveling serial killer went to would cover the windows and do weird things like that,
The bacon and
ritual
all that
things.
stuff.
Yeah.
So how many different times did this guy supposedly do this?
I don't know. I think he did a lot. Like this specific serial
Dozens,
killer
right?
did like dozens of times. But the 2 main
With
suspects,
axes.
yeah, with axes, which is weird. And then they explained to us why. And this is a little gruesome too. But if you do the sharp side of an axe, it'll get stuck in your skull. But if you destroy the skull with the backside, the blunt side, then you can pick up the axe faster. And it was like, oh God, like that's
Jesus.
so
Oh yeah, and we
gross.
thought like we were
gruesome.
like maybe he drugged the family beforehand or like chloroformed them or something, and there was no sign of like any drugs like used.
It's so weird.
According to the book, The Man on the Train, they describe him for being responsible for up to let's see, feeling certain that Mueller committed 14 family murders totaling 59 victims, less certain varying degrees of his involvement, and another 25 family murders totaling an additional 94 victims.
Wow.
Oh my god.
And there's even
this
one
guy.
in Germany they think might have been attached to him.
Do you have a photo of this guy?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
So what was his name?
Mueller.
Like
Paul
Paul Mueller
Mueller,
or
I
something.
And why did they think it was him specifically? Did he get arrested?
I'm just looking at the Wikipedia that breaks down the book.
He
so
just like
I have to buy the book.
the style of the murders were so similar, and the two other main suspects that they hadn't murdered anybody previously, and so this guy just coming in train by train to all these different cities.
Yeah, the other suspects were just like not as intense, I guess you could say. Where it was like there was like this one guy named like Jones, I believe, who was just a businessman that maybe had like some rivalry in business with the family, but wouldn't result to like murder for that. And then there was also just like a creepy reverend who was like a peeping tom sort of character that was just like the town creep that everybody thought it was.
Here's the main thing on why I guess they think that. What they think. I don't know if you can read that. It might be a little small.
Yeah, according to the Jameses, a number of murders in the period were assumed by local police to be one-off incidents were actually committed by a single person, probably Mueller, based on certain similarities among the crimes. The similarities include the same being within a few hundred feet of railroad junction. Okay, so that's the book's title. It says, the slaughter of entire families in small towns with little or no police force, and the families having a barn which the killer is believed to have hidden to observe the families. Oh,
Which Villisca had.
oh
Yeah.
my God,
Yep.
that's so fucking. Imagine this,
Messed up.
this guy like waiting in the barn, watching the family go to sleep.
For how many days, before he did it?
And they were all at
Ugh.
church service before it all happened as well, which is
course.
horrible.
Yeah.
Jesus.